And so what I'm saying is that there is nobody who is going to stop you. You listen to me, the young man in Africa right now, young man in the US and all around the world, in Asia and Europe. No one is going to stop you from living your dreams, not even your parents, not even the universe, but yourself. Once you have a dream, once you have a vision, that energy, that enthusiasm, that passion will naturally come to you to live that dream.
Welcome to Keep On Pushing Stories, where we share real-life stories of resilience, persistence, perseverance, personal growth. In our guests, you'll hear how they overcame challenges, in fact, transformed challenges into triumph. And today, we are just excited. I'm excited to welcome Oliver Nshom to the show. Oliver, welcome to Keep On Pushing Stories.
Oh, thank you so much, Shimon, for having me. It's a privilege.
Yeah, indeed, indeed. So, Oliver, first of all, can you tell us what it is that you do? How do you serve? How do you bring value to the lives of others?
I would love to start with my mission statement. My mission statement is to connect people to ideas and stories, helping them to become impactful here on earth. Connecting people to ideas and stories, helping them to become truly impactful here on earth. And I do that through my passion, which is keynote speaking, like in, say, professional speaking. So I started 14 years ago in West Africa, Cameroon, my former country, when I was still a young boy at the age of 21. And growing up from a family of 7 siblings, one girl and I'm the fourth. Nobody ever dreamed of becoming a speaker. I saw the need to become a speaker when I was in the middle school, like my first year in middle school 18 years ago. And nobody believed that someone could become a speaker from West Africa, someone could even make a living from speaking. And when I saw the need, it was like my vision, my mission on earth. And I gripped it and I grabbed it. And from then, I have been making effort every single second, hour, day, week, month, year. And today, it's excitingly, it was 2023. I had my first international speaking gig where I flew to Singapore. I spoke at the Asian Professional Speakers Association, Singapore. And it was amazing. That's how I found myself in the US speaking across the world. And so I help people to identify their stories and to help them share by ensuring they get the right platforms where they can share their story, because everybody got a story and your story is important, just like my story. And so there's somebody somewhere in Kenya, in Ethiopia, in Singapore, in Germany, in the US that need to hear your story for his or her life to change. And if we don't come across those people, we may have a lot of unfulfilled people in the world because they haven't listened to us.
Indeed. What an amazing mission, man. I'm glad you searched, found, and grabbed that mission, Oliver. So tell me, or tell us, because, you know, I'm sure that, as you so correctly said, everybody has a story, and I'm sure your story is going to be impactful. There will be people who want to reach out to you, connect with you. How can they find you?
Beautiful. The quickest way to find me is through my website, www.shomoliver.com, www.shomoliver.com. You can also get me on LinkedIn, Oliver Nshom. On LinkedIn, you get me.
Please spell that for us.
Okay. On LinkedIn, I am Oliver Nshom, like O like in orange, L like in living, I like in Ireland, V like in Vanessa, E like in environment, R like in Rangers, then Nshom. Nshom is N like in nation, S like in show, H like in horn, O like in orange, M like in mangoes.
Okay, good. That's important. So thank you for that. Now that we have that out of the way, we understand what it is that you do, how you touch the lives of others, and how we can find you, or someone can find you if they want to engage you in helping them to touch lives. What we want to know now, because I'm sure it's going to touch some lives, is tell us a keep on pushing story, Oliver. Tell us one of your keep on pushing story, a time when you had to overcome a significant challenge or had to stretch to get yourself out of your comfort zone.
I came from a family of 7 siblings, like I rightly said, and it is unbelievable that out of all my siblings,
where are you in the packing order?
Okay. So I came from a family of 7 siblings. Like I said, I'm the 4th out of 7 siblings, and I'm the only child from a parent that graduated from high school, and I'm the only child from my parents that went to college. And it wasn't easy. My parents are peasant farmers, and I literally dropped out from school 7 times, like 7 times. And I never knew that I was even going to graduate from high school because of the situation of my parents, because of the situation of my environment. And this is what I mean, Devin. Every day in West Africa, Cameroon, my former country, when I was going to school, every morning, because I was literally the only boy in my village by then that was going to school. And then my neighbors could literally say things like, this week will not finish while you're not dropped out from school. The Oliver, like this month will not finish while you're not dropped out from school. And I did that. I did that. So the environment was toxic. Like everybody was not really happy that I should be going to school because the rest of the other boys were not going to school. So that contributed a lot to my dropping out of school and going back to school. And secondly, I suffered from ADHD, as a young boy, like attention deficit hyperactive disorder. That almost destroyed my life. And while in school, I could not even concentrate. I could not focus. And it will even surprise you that throughout my life in elementary school, I failed. At every level, I failed. I was always the last in class I failed from level 1 to the last level. And that was the foundation I had. And because of that, it affected my English language. Like when I was speaking most of the time, when I started my career, I always bring in future tenses and present tenses and past tenses. I just mix everything. And that makes everybody that knew me 14 years ago to make the conclusion that I was never going to become a great speaker. I was never going to become an inspirational speaker. I was never going to live my dream because I never had that background of English language, because I had a strong TED foundation, in those days. But again, I challenged myself. I read books. I taught myself. I hired coaches and mentors to teach me, even after my high school, what I wanted to do. And some of those mentors and coaches that I hired to work with me was just somebody like Charlotte Kemp, the immediate past president of the Global Speakers Federation. That's among some of the people that worked with me. I am who I am today. So just to let you know that I never believed in my life that one day I could be living in the United States of America, speaking across the United States of America. That was something that I couldn't have thought about. But the good thing is that 18 years ago, while I was in the middle school, my teacher asked me, Oliver, who do you want to become in future? After so many kids were telling the teacher, I want to become a medical doctor, a pilot, an engineer, this and that, I told my teacher, I want to become a global speaker. And everybody laughed at me. My teacher asked me to stand up. And when I stood up, you're like, global what? As a speaker, like, speak about what? Like, it's speaking a career, it's speaking a profession. That was ridiculous because every child in class was laughing at me. When I came back home that very day, my mom and dad, they asked me the same question, Harris. And my mom was like, Dad was like, Oliver, who do you want to become, son? I'm like, Dad, I want to become a global speaker. And they laughed at me again. They're like, speaker about what? That's ridiculous. You can't become a speaker. There is no career as a speaker because everybody's a speaker. By the way, here in Cameroon, we don't have any speaker. Nobody's making a living in West Africa as a speaker. So you're not going to be the first one. So you better rather go become a medical doctor and get some cash to help us in our old age. In Africa, it's always believed that when a child goes to school and he does well, when the parents are old, he has to come and help them in their old age. That's the belief in Africa. But I told my dad, you know what? If I become a medical doctor like you want me to become, I'm going to get the certificate. I'm going to offer you as a gift. And I'll still go back and become the global speaker I wanted to become. I started, my dad and mom, they told me, okay, we wish you good luck. Go ahead with your speaking stuff. We don't know what it's about, but we pray it goes well for you. And it was in 2008 where I had my first speaking engagement. And man, it was horrible. I messed up. I had to talk for 3 minutes. And within 3 minutes, I stumbled on the stage. I stumbled on the stage. I gambled on the stage. And the result was chaos. I ran out of the stage because my lips were dry. I was asking for water. Can somebody help me water? And nobody was there to help. And I messed up big time. Talking for 3 minutes, I messed up. But I did not give up.
So before you, yeah, I really want to hear more about that. But Oliver, tell us. So you're the only boy in school, and everybody was telling you, man, the day's not going to end, the week, the month won't end before you drop out. But you continued. Why?
I continued. Why? At what extent? I believe that there was. I believe that I'm a man of faith, so I believed in faith. So I believe that the universe, like God, had a plan for me. He had a good plan. He wanted me to become somebody. He wanted me to tell the story one day, like I'm telling right now. And because I can explain how, out of 7 siblings, I'm the only one that graduated from high school, went to college. Like, I can explain. I don't know why my parents, my dad, my mom, they did everything for me to have graduated from high school. I can explain. It was not that I was one of the most stubborn kids in the house. So I was literally very stubborn than the other 6. But again, I was the one that went to high school, graduated from high school. I can explain that. But I believe that somehow God himself intended it to be that way. So I tried my very best to stay in school, but I keep on being kicked out of school because like I said, I suffer from ADHD, attention deficit hyperactivity disorder. My parents at a certain point could not afford for my fee. I literally remember when I was in second year in middle school, I was living for school fees, and I had to come back home and spend like 3 weeks at home. I literally remember my mom leaving home, traveling, trekking over 21 kilometers to go and work in a farm with a hoe like they do in Africa, in somebody's yard, and she was able to raise just $20 within 2 weeks. She worked $20, came back again, trekking 21 kilometers, and gave me the money. Said, son, take this, go back to school. I was going to school and tears were running down my cheeks. I was like, why could mom sacrifice this much just for me to go back to school? That's when I knew that there was a bigger plan to me than just staying in Cameroon, West Africa, my former country, stay in Africa and doing that. And that is one of the things that actually motivated me not to disappoint my parents, like to prove to them that the sacrifice they did, all the sacrifice they gave me, I didn't want to disappoint them or the people looking up to me. That's why at every given stage, I've always had my core values that I stick so much to them. And one of them is excellence. One of them is integrity. One of them is trust. And one of them is continuity and resilience. And that's why I think we are having this conversation.
Right. So ADHD, there are so many people around the world who are afflicted by this disorder. And so you are struggling in school, man. I know you said you felt that there was a higher calling. What is there another reason why you struggled through the ADHD and the clearly lack of resources to stay in school?
Yeah, obviously. If there's another reason why I had to struggle in school with the ADHD,
Mm-hmm.
sure. By then that was in the village, and it was like I realized that I struggle from ADHD. That was just around 5 years ago. That was when I was already like, I was 9 years old into my speaking career. That's when I realized.
So when you're in school, you just knew you were totally distracted, but you weren't diagnosed with ADHD.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because there wasn't even anybody who could diagnose me because it was a community school and there were no nurses, there were no doctors, like nobody to watch over the kids apart from the teachers who were there struggling to teach what they could teach. So there were no hospitals around could diagnose that, because who had the time to take the child to the hospital that he was not really seriously sick? Like, who does that?
Yeah.
So that was the case by then. And so I only realized that I suffer from ADHD 5 years ago. That was when I realized that there was a higher authority, higher power to my life.
So poor English, no speaking skills to speak of. Your first speaking engagement, only 3 minutes. You had parched lips and you totally messed it up. But here you are speaking globally. Look, when you look back on your life, Oliver, the challenges you had growing up, you know, staying in school, you're struggling with ADHD, which wasn't diagnosed at the time. Of course, your early speaking career. What are the lessons that you have walked away from those experiences with?
Beautiful. I love that. So there's a concept I love. There's a concept that John C. Maxwell talks about, and it's a very powerful concept. It talks about the EEE factor. So I've learned that energy, which is the first E, enthusiasm, which is the second E, and empowerment, you know, is very, very, very important, because when it comes to public speaking, I've always had a lot of energy and enthusiasm in doing public speaking. If you ask me honestly or sincerely where I took this energy from, I won't tell you. Okay, keep me to do to work in the hospital, I will not have energy and enthusiasm. I won't do that. You know, keep me to work in a restaurant as a serious person, I won't have energy to do that. Yeah, and keep me somewhere to help provide care, I won't have energy to do that. But keep me to speak to people, the energy will just pop up from nowhere. I'll just flow. And so that's the first thing I've learned, you know, because I believe so much that this is what I was born to do here on earth. This is my assignment on earth. This is my purpose. Why do I know that? Because first of all, anytime I need something for this thing I want to do, there's always that provision. It always comes up. Right. And most of the time, I find myself in situations where I had one of the options was like chaos. It was like dirt, was like something I would always regret or never imagine that I could survive this condition, this circumstance. And behold, I will always find myself narrowly escaping all of that. And not only that, I've also realized that there is this thing that when I speak somewhere, people literally just come to me and say, you are born to become a motivational speaker. You're born to be a speaker. You inspired me a lot. And that naturally happens to me. And now I realize that the most safest person on earth, the most protected person on earth is that man who is in his assignment on earth. Is that man who is on a mission to do that one thing that only him can do well. That's the most safest person on earth. And I believe that I am privileged enough to be that most safest person on earth, which I also believe that you, Devon Harris, you're one of the safest person on earth, because I feel like you're doing what you're born to be doing. And everybody watching us right now who is still struggling and finding energy and passion and enthusiasm in whatever he's doing, I don't think you are the most safest person on earth, because you are not protected. And so I believe that what I'm doing is my mission on earth. And that's why the resources come naturally. And that's why, despite the fact that I'm from a family of 7 siblings, I was the one pushed it up to high school graduate, went to college, and I'm doing what I'm doing today, speaking across the world, like traveling the world. It's a miracle. I see as a miracle. An average young man from Cameroon at my age doesn't do what I'm doing. And it's not because my parents were wealthy than others. It's not because I was born from a wealthy family. No, my parents are some of the most poorest parents in the world ever. But this is me in the US, traveling to different countries and sharing my story with the world. How is that possible? My parents cannot actually boast that they were able to pay my flight ticket, do this and do that. They can't boast because they don't even know what happened. I can't explain myself.
Yeah.
And it's not happening.
So,
Yeah.
you know, what I guess piece of advice would you have for an ordinary young man from West Africa, East Africa, Central Africa, the Caribbean, the US, Europe, wherever in the world, Asia, just an ordinary young man or young girl, young woman, who is dealing with tremendous obstacles, but have this amazing vision as you did and still do? What advice would you give to them?
Great. The amazing advice I can give is this. One, have a vision for your life and stick to it. Have a vision for your life and stick to it. It will surprise you, Devon Harris, that when I got married in 2018, I had a job in the hospital. So I was employed to work in the hospital. I worked for 4 years and I quit because I went to work. I promised myself the 4 years I want to work here is to raise capital for my speaking business. And after 4 years, I got enough money to build my website, to update my social media handle to get a few suite for myself for speaking engagement, and I quit. By the time I was quitting, my wife told me that was not the right decision. All my supervisors told me that was not the right decision. I wasn't supposed to quit because how was I going to survive? There's no money in the speaking industry in Africa, neither in Cameroon or West Africa. But one thing I remembered that was this: whether there's no money in the speaking industry or not, whether there's a speaker in West Africa or Cameroon or not, I'm going to become the first speaker who will be paid and who will make a living from speaking. And this was the vision I had even by 2005, my first year in college, in middle school. And so what I'm saying is that there is nobody who is going to stop you. You listen to me, the young man in Africa right now, young man in the US and all around the world, in Asia and Europe. No one is going to stop you from living your dreams, not even your parents, not even the universe, but yourself. Once you have a dream, once you have a vision, that energy, that enthusiasm, that passion will naturally come to you to live that dream. And the only person that will stop you is not even your government. It's not even the ecosystem, but yourself. So if you ever fail to live your dream, never ever blame your parents, never even blame the government, never even blame your uncles, your aunties, your employers, blame only yourself. Because my employers told me that, Oliver, we love you so much. We wanted to stay with us and work. But I was like, sir, I'm going. My mission is done here, and I'm moving to the next level where I'm supposed to be operating. And when I left, it was 2 years of pain, of suffering, of insult, of ridiculing to me. But I wasn't it. There was a day I spent 48 hours without anything to eat. I got only water to drink. I remember I was able to survive that. Fortunately, my wife gave me some $10 after she discovered that I'm not eating for 2 days to buy something and eat. And during the 2 days, I never had food to eat. I was in front of my library regurgitating Martin Luther King Jr.'s speech of, I have a dream that one day the children of the former slave owners and the children of the slave owners shall sit on the table brotherhood like brothers and sisters. I have a dream. I was learning how to speak. I was reading books. I was watching videos. And that is what I used to do in my down the hill moments, in my valley moments, in my challenging moments. I was reading, I was studying, I was never complaining. I was never accusing anybody. So young man, stop blaming your parents, stop blaming the ecosystem, stop blaming the country, stop blaming the presidents and the leaders, and start blaming yourself. Remember, when you're pointing fingers, 4 other fingers are pointing back at you. So it is time for us to stop the blame game and remember that the only one that is going to stop us from living our dreams is ourselves and not any other person. So that's my advice for the young man, for the young woman watching at us right now.
Indeed, that is amazing. Thank you for that. So, have a vision, connect with a purpose, stop the blame game. Recognize that the journey is all about the decisions and the actions that you take. Oliver, wow, you truly epitomize a keep on pushing philosophy. Your story is one that I am absolutely sure is going to inspire an average young man or average young woman somewhere around the world to go pursue their own dreams, overcome their own obstacles as well. Thank you for taking on the challenges and triumphing over them so we could hear your story. Keep on pushing.
Thank you so much, Harris. I really appreciate Devon. It's a great opportunity, a privilege for me to be here. You're one of the first person that interviewed me in the US, and I see it as a privilege. Thank you so much, sir. I appreciate it.
Yeah, man. Thank you for joining us.